It's a shocking situation. Andrew McManus, the well-known promoter in Melbourne who brought Whitney Houston out recently to Australia, is with us this morning. G'day, Andrew.
Good morning. Good morning, Ed. Morning, guys.
Andrew, obviously had spent a lot of time with Whitney Houston. What was she like?
I mean, look, when, like any promoter, if you get close to your artist, you obviously, get a bond there. And as I said to you before I walked in, one of the main reasons I've come in and am doing since talking today, Whitney, is because I felt the media did give her a nice kicking when she was here, and it was overkill. And the 6 weeks that I did get to spend time with her, I found her to be an incredibly warm and passionate woman. She loved her daughter, and that's why I can understand why Bobby Christine has actually gone off the rails, because they were like sisters. They weren't like mother and daughter. They were dead set like sisters. And we had an opportunity where we went out in Sydney Harbour for Bobby's birthday. And, the select people that did get invited, and it was obvious that these two were, I'd be worried for her now, in all honesty, because she just idolised her mum.
She had just go through the last time she was out here. She had an ordinary concert in Brisbane from memory, and then from that moment on, it was on the media.
Oh no, well it was on before she got here, because we picked her up at the Brisbane airport, and she got off the plane and walked to the car. The next day in the paper, it has Whitney Houston pushes woman or fan aside, and it was absolute wrong. It never happened. And the media, I reckon, had already had the headline, Houston, we got a problem, a week before she even got here.
Yeah.
And the beat-up after Brisbane. Now, Brisbane, I'm not going to sit here and say Brisbane was a great show. It wasn't. But the fact of the matter is, what happened was she had Michael Jackson's dances, and she wasn't stage ready. She had done one show before we came to the Australian tour. Michael Jackson's dancers, we all know what happened with Michael, so they're fit. They've been practicing, rehearsing with him. She hires them all. And she tried to keep up with them, and she ran out. She was out of breath by the third song.
Yeah,
and she realised that thereafter that people, and I sat down with her breakfast the next morning and said, people want to come and hear you sing. They don't want to come and see you dance. This is not a Britney Spears show. This is a show that they know that you're singing live. So let's give them a live show and do what you do best. And the further the tour went in, the stronger her voice got. And by the time we got to Sydney, there was that much love in the room, and there was that much passion and hope that she could hit the notes. And when she did, I'll Always Love You, she actually sort of nearly did a bit of a run up to the mic, and the crowd just stood as one, gave in this massive standing ovation because she nailed it. Now, the press never wrote about that, but they loved the fact that there was some negativity, and it steamrolled, and it hurt us from a touring point of view. But it hurt her, and I said to her in Sydney after one of the pages that was all over the news, and did some press for her, and she said, "Look, Andrew, if that's the whack that God's got for me, that's my whack, but I'm comfortable in my own skin."
And I want to ask you about that, because we often see, megastar celebrities, and they get absolutely smashed, front pages of the paper, and we say, oh, well, they've had a great life, they earn lots of money, you just need to cop it when it comes your way. You still got to wake up and you're a human being, and you're on the receiving end of something that may or may not be fair. Tell us about her mindset right across the tour then. Did you have to actually get her out of bed and say, hey, you've got to keep going? Was she ever thinking about going home, or how tough was it?
I'm not going to say she ignored it, because it was in everyone's face, and it was impossible to go anywhere without having the vitriol on regard to her tour and her performances. But she was far from hiding, because she was out on the harbour, she was going shopping. Fans were still running up to her, getting their autograph, and there was still, although the media gave her a hiding, the fans gave her a lot of love. And I think that's what gave her the strength.
Where's this bum Bobby Brown when all this is happening?
My understanding is, and what I heard yesterday, he's in Memphis on tour with his original band. And look, again, I never knew him, so I can't comment, and I don't know much about the man's makeup. But
That's the whack she got from God, I reckon. That's the real, that's where the trouble started and ended.
Well, a lot of the start, a bit like what happened with Tiger Woods. Melbourne's been the home of entertainment, and the drama unfolds here because it was back in 97 or 98, as I mentioned, at 6 o'clock, where the first time it really happened for Whitney Houston is when she was with Bobby Brown. She played at one of the big casino nights at Crown, and played, I think, on the Friday night, and I was scheduled to be at the Saturday night. Did a great concert. At the Palladium, 1,000, 1,500 people, seated, dinner, expensive tickets, all the rest of it. Then got on it like you wouldn't believe at the Fidel's Cigar Bar.
I had Dion Warwick here at that time, and Dion and I went to the first show, and because now they're cousins, and the show was amazing. It was, I was lucky enough to be at the first one, and then Dion and I went backstage and spent probably an hour with her, and that's when Bobby Christina was only, knee-high to a grasshopper, and they had the whole crib and the whole thing. And then we left Melbourne the next day, Dion and I, to go to Sydney. And that's when all the reports came through that she'd gone downstairs and got on the cigars and the cognacs and what have you.
Sounded like Gus Mercurio the next day. She couldn't sing at all.
Could name up.
And they had her upstairs, and of course the word came down to Lloyd Williams that she's not coming. You imagine what it was like, because the Saturday crowd was actually the VIP crowd. Yes. And I got the tap on the shoulder from Lloyd, can you get up on stage and tell everybody? And guess who filled in? Sam Newman.
Sam Newman did, that's right. I remember.
Sam sang
There's your value.
Hey, just a bit of interesting on her, just to get the mindset at that stage. She was sort of picking a bit of fight. At one stage, she wouldn't sign her contract because the street outside of the front of Crown, where you go into the VIP entrance, is White Man Street. And she demanded that they change the name of the street at that stage before. It's a true story. Yeah. And so there's a few flaky things going on there at that stage.
Andrew, you've been around a lot of very successful people. Why is it always the good ones? Why is it Amy Winehouse? Why is it Whitney Houston? Why is it the ones who are really the top of their game, who don't seem to go the distance?
I think, and there's a saying, when you've got, you're a genius, and there's that line, and there's that line that they cross. And, without going, I suppose, to the Amy Winehouse side of it, because I've met her once in London, and she was quite zany that night I met her. There is drugs around and there is alcohol around, and you know yourself, you're in the entertainment industry. It is apparent and it's available and it's easy to get, and people like blandishing you with booze and what have you, and it's easy to go from one to the other. And then once they get into that spiral, unless they've really got strong, good people around them, which 90% of them don't, because 90% of them got yes people, and they're always there to say yes. And if they want something, instead of saying, no, you can't, they're saying, okay, I'll go get it.
Michael Jackson being a case in point.
Andrew, thanks for coming in studio this morning. It's a great insight into the life of Whitney Houston from someone who spent an enormous amount of time with her, dying yesterday at just 48 years of age. An absolute tragedy. Andrew, great to catch up with you.
Really appreciate the time, guys.
Go on, Andrew.
Andrew McManus joining us here on Triple M's Hot Breakfast. Going to take a break for Rebel Sport. We'll be back.